a bad guy, but you've got all these homeless kids and people, gives them weapons, feeds them, uses them basically as cannon fodder. But he's a tiny little warlord. He's just some bad guy to then prop up the Ugandan dictator. And I found out the UN has launched in the last year a new offensive, just slaughtering people everywhere with global corporations for their land. I mean, it's in the New York Times. And for UN carbon taxes, Paul Watson has links to all this in the articles he's written about it. So does Kurt Nimmo. So all of this is going on. All of this is happening. And so I start researching it, and it just brought back to mind that Stalin said, one man dies, it's a tragedy, 10,000 die is a statistic. And I was just refreshing my memory, on what's going on in Africa. And I mean, it is a genocide. You can speculate all day about the tetanus shots they give them that sterilize them and the UN got caught, or giving them HIV. People can try to deny that, even though the proof's there. The fact that the UN goes in, backed by mercenaries, and burns down villages and just mows people down. And just all over Africa, there's just piles of skeletons everywhere. And then you've got at the clothing stores at the mall and on TV, and I see women's bags, especially attractive women for some reason, will be UNICEF'd. And it's they give women to feed the kids. Yeah, you mean have a PR stunt where it shows them feeding them while over the mountain the mercenaries are lining them up and shooting them? I mean, it's like, don't run, we're your friends, we come in peace, and Mars attacks, and they're shooting everybody. I mean, it is just incredible. And so then I got mad. And I said, wait a minute, I know Jolie's a UN envoy. I know she pushes all this refugee stuff, which the UN uses for extermination operations to round folks up and starve them to death, or let the neighboring tribe come in and kill them in the case of Rwanda, or sometimes they just machine gun everybody. They sex slave them. There's photos and videos of them roasting kids over fires, the UN. I mean, you want to rape and murder and kill, go join the UN army. I mean, there's nothing like it. It is an army of... Genghis Khan's military was not this wicked. I mean, it's well known that if you're a pedophile, pervert, rapist, criminal, you go join the UN because you've got diplomatic immunity. None of these other countries have immunity. The UN, because it's the global bankers' army, they have diplomatic immunity. That's why they always get caught, different UN diplomats, with sex slaves and killing kids and all this, because it's just an army of darkness with a bunch of propaganda telling you that it loves you and cares about you and, give money. I mean, I grew up. Even at the church we went to one time, we raised money for UNICEF selling cookies. I had friends that would go out at kids and not get money at Christmas for the Salvation Army, but for the UN. I mean, I have worked to give the UN money when I was a little kid just a few times. This is the type of stuff that goes on, how they use well-meaning people, and then they use somebody like Angelina Jolie with her horrible history. Go look into it. Not just breaking up families, but the snatching people's kids. She's just like Madonna. And then watching her and all these Illuminati movies she's into and just getting off. She's in award ceremonies every night. A narcissistic, empty husk for demonic entities to live in. Pun intended. So all of this is going on, and I, for one, am sick of it. I'm calling the hoax that is the UN. I'm calling it out. I'm done. I'm done playing games with these people. You notice I'm turning the heat up. It's like I said a few months ago in those promos we run. I say the info war now goes to the next level. I'm not here to play games with these people. I'm here to break their hoax. And it's so close to breaking. This Kony 2012 thing, over 100 million views on one video alone, has totally blown up. Now the negative comments have gone 5-1. The negative votes against it have reversed and are going more than 5-1. When they were almost completely positive just 4 or 5 days ago. There are thousands of videos against it, including Ugandans saying, are you kidding? Kony hadn't been seen in 5-6 years. He was a tiny warlord. The president here is murdering everybody. The UN is killing people. So I see her as this UN envoy who's always pushing Libya war, Syria invasions, all of it. Giving it left cover, being lauded as this wonderful humanitarian who cares about everybody. And I've had enough. I've had enough. People are like, wow, yeah, I agree the UN's killing people, but wow, arrest her? Absolutely. I'm not saying arrest her for thought crimes. But if you're a UN envoy calling for the government to continue to crack down on the population in the name of getting some boogeyman, when there's a major globalist offensive to clean people off the land in Uganda and surrounding areas, and this is all a big PR stunt for the murderous UN and its kangaroo ICC, where they grab people and they almost always die in their jail before the kangaroo trial. When you're pushing a criminal, genocidal, world government instrument, and you are a top envoy now, not just spokeswoman, you're not like Shirley Temple, you know, promoting the Department of War. You are a globalist snake. And so, yes, I can use her celebrity that they use to push their evil and like judo, boomerang it back on them and say, arrest Angelina Jolie for war crimes. And the video is going to be seen millions of times. I can already tell you that if it says it's been seen 170,000 times, and I just put it up there yesterday afternoon, that it takes time for those number counts to basically build up, and it'll end up getting seen 2-3 million times unless YouTube blocks it. And people are like, well, your show has 3 million listeners a day, 15 million a week. Why do you care so much about this? This is reaching all the mainline, dumbbell, dumbed down, ignorant young people that have been bamboozled by Kony 2012. And this is going directly to Jolie and is going to create a snowball of not just exposing her, but the entire UN system. Now, there's a small chance Jolie is just a useful idiot and really thinks she's helping people. And so if my calling for her arrest, but I go on to call for the leadership's arrest, Ban Ki-moon, the big mega corporations, I want the arrest of Kofi Annan. And by the way, that's been called for in mainstream media and by major courts for all the oil for food and starving people for money and being paid off. I mean, it's an unusually corrupt group because of the diplomatic immunity. You give somebody diplomatic immunity, license to kill, steal, what do you think's going to happen? And so I want this woman to know, we know who she is as the spokesman for this. I'm going after their spokesman. It's like them trying to sell cigarettes to kids with Joe Camel. Kids, Joe Camel wants to kill you. Joe Camel isn't even real, but I'm saying it in language everybody can understand. Well, Angelina Jolie is real, makes all these pro-Illuminati movies, all these pro-police state movies. She's got a movie out promoting UN invasion and attack on Serbia, which, again, both sides were killing each other in that. But the Croats, the Muslims and others, statistically, and the UN admits this, killed 2-to-1 Serbs. Both sides, ethnic warfare, horrible. I'm not a Serb, I'm not a Croat, I'm not a Muslim. I don't have a dog in the fight. I went and actually researched what happened. And outside of mainstream television, the UN even admits what happened. 2-to-1. But they wanted to destroy Serbia and give southern Serbia, the equivalent of a third of the U.S. in comparison, to Albania, which is run by a bunch of al-Qaeda terrorists to ship heroin through. And they're running the sex trade. They've been ethnically cleansing Serbs that are left in Kosovo ever since then.
She's filming a movie right now where she plays the mistress of all evil.
Oh, really? So she's filming a movie now where she plays the mistress of all evil. She's playing the evil witch from Sleeping Beauty. Very interesting. Well, I mean, there you go. I've looked in her eyes. I've seen how she operates. She is an incredibly wicked person. My gut, my instincts, and her entire history show she wants to run for president later. She wants to be the head of the IMF or World Bank later. She's very hungry for this. She's enjoying it. She enjoys these dark roles because she's a very dark person. Very small chance she's a useful idiot. And so I'm here. You want to be the champion for AFRICOM, invasion of Africa? Well, I'll stand up and try to get the people to rally so we can all be the champions of everybody being downtrodden by the globalist boot. And everything you see being done in Africa, Agenda 21, shutting off their resources, it's happening here. The GMO attack, it's happening here as it is in Africa. Everybody's under attack by this New World Order. Everybody. And that's why they put Obama in, for the left cover, give him the peace prize, so all of his new wars are peace. The UN invades, it uses NATO to do it, the UN gives the authorization, the UN has its own armies, they attack your country, they murder you, they take your land, and Angelina Jolie walks around and says, we're good, we're fighting somebody who hadn't been seen in almost 6 years, who controlled a tiny area. It's just some simple boogeyman for the American people that can't even find Africa on a map and think that it's a country, not a continent. Okay? It's a hoax, and this is my statement on her. Arrest Angelina Jolie for war crimes. Kony 2012 is the name of the article, and it's got the videos. In fact, a new one I shot. Clearly, there are bigger criminals in the United Nations. This is my statement. But nevertheless, she has been an enthusiastic proponent of all these so-called humanitarian wars. War is peace, folks. You heard of that before? In Libya and beyond. The United Nations history of war crimes and massacres is legendary. We have a link to a big index of those. And just as Joseph Goebbels operated as a propaganda minister for the Nazis, Jolie, who is officially employed by the UN as an envoy, is their mouthpiece. It is her task to promote endless war. It's time to call out the United Nations, by extension, their poster girl, Jolie, for what they are, instruments of a corporate fascist world government. Yesterday morning, while doing research into Kony 2012, I read a Hollywood Reporter article where Jolie was enthusiastically calling for an invasion to arrest Joseph Kony. That's just a cover for an invasion in Uganda. And the hypocrisy was just too much. And then I did some more research on her and confirmed she's even worse than I thought. The Western-backed dictator of Uganda has overseen the murder, we have links to that, of 1,000 times the number of people than what Joseph Kony has killed. And so, by Angelina Jolie's benchmark for war crimes, she herself should be arrested. But therein lies the paradox, because the United Nations would have to arrest itself and its own minions. I mean, it's such a hoax, but only because of your willful ignorance, America and world, can you have a horrible, demonic front person like her pushing all these wars, wrecking Libya, mass death, country in fire, Al-Qaeda, women having burqas shoved on their heads, genitally mutilated, Al-Qaeda slaughtering blacks by the tens of thousands. Total bedlam in Egypt, total bedlam in Syria, total bedlam everywhere. With her hopping around looking like Medusa. I mean, there's a reason she plays witches in Beowulf and everything else. Because she is a witch. She's a globalist, big, fat, satanic devil. And I see her. And I want humanity to realize she's an enemy. Okay, my friends, fellow liberty lovers across the world, I am going to give the toll-free number out. I'd love to hear from you. I want to do what I did yesterday again, because there's so many millions of people never can get involved in the show. First-time callers, you're shot. I'd love to hear from you on any of the issues I've mentioned or any news items you'd like to bring up. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. In closing on Angelina Jolie, we can really use the energy of this Kony 2012 propaganda that she was using to promote. See, they say something's got to be done about Kony, and then she comes out, invasion of Uganda, to help the government fight him. No one has ever even seen him in 5-6 years. It's just a way to go in and take over resources. And I have links to the UN in our articles slaughtering and killing people, and private companies there for part of UN carbon agreements killing people, pushing them off their land. You know, get off your